The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
By profession, you're a debt collector, and you were working on a case. You were trying to get information about an individual who owed money to companies, and somehow Barack Obama came into this story. Tell us how this all started.
Well, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Actually, it was on one of the nights that I actually choose, to go ahead and do my skip tracing. Because as part of my business, we have to.
What's skip tracing?
We have to verify the names and addresses of our debtors.
What's skip tracing?
Skip tracing is a means by which we actually ascertain the location, names, addresses, verify Social Security numbers, verify previous addresses, verify friends, relatives, of the individuals that that we're actually skip tracing, for the debt.
Okay, so the first process is to make sure that the person you are zeroing in on is the actual debtor that you want.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Okay, so you were working on another case involving another individual, and did this individual live in Washington or Chicago? What's the connection?
Chicago.
Chicago. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, go ahead and pick up the story.
Sure. And so what I was doing was, obviously, when I couldn't find a relative, new phone number or current phone number, for the individual, then you start backtracing, and so you start, through the software, you start hitting the database that has information for their addresses, their phone numbers, their relatives, the associates of the same address, so forth and so on, and then all of their information, is compiled, and then it's pulled. We call it, pulling the data.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I was pulling this data off of Everett Avenue, there in Chicago, lo and behold, Michelle Obama's name pops up. And so in the middle of the night, when you're doing these things, you just really don't have time, because you kind of don't want to lose track. So I just kept on going. And
now, did Michelle Obama's name come up as a neighbor of this debtor?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Back in the 90s, back in the 1990s.
All right.
And so anyway, so as I was finished, I clicked back, just out of curiosity, I clicked on her name, and then obviously Barack Obama pulled up, and then his alias pulled up as well, that was attached to his Social Security number.
What do you mean, his alias?
Yes, sir. When individuals apply for anything, or sign a form, sign an application, whenever pretty much they use a name, it's associated with that address and that Social Security number.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently at one time, as of 2009, actually as of November 2009, the alias Bonnell Harrison J, or Harrison J. Bonnell, was actually used with Barack Obama's Social Security number and his address of 5046 South Greenwood Avenue, Chicago, Illinois, 60615.
Harrison J. Burnell?
Bonnell, B-O-U-N-E-L.
B-O-N?
B-O-U-N-E-L.
Harrison J. Bonnell.
Uh-huh. Or the alias Harrison J. Bonnell.
I've never heard this. I thought you were going to say Barry Soetoro.
No, sir. No, sir. Actually, I looked up Barry Soetoro, and I couldn't find it. It doesn't exist anymore.
Okay, and what's the street address again?
5046 South Greenwood Avenue, Chicago, Illinois, 60615. And actually, at the time, I didn't even know what his home address was. So all this to me was like, hitting me, just like a brick wall. I didn't even know.
This is new to me. I have never heard the name Harrison J. Bonnell.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That was the irony. That was the first anomaly that I discovered, because it's sharing Barack Obama's Social Security number and his home address and the home phone number as well.
Okay, so the Harrison J. Bonnell, it's not just that Harrison J. Bonnell is connected to the address where Michelle and Barack Obama live. You could say, okay, somewhere out there there is a Harrison J. Bonnell who lived there at some time and got his mail at 5046 South Greenwood Avenue, Chicago. But you're saying that the name Harrison J. Bonnell shares the same Social Security number as Barack Hussein Obama?
Yes, sir, the exact one. But because what I did was, in order to double check these things, I have a way that I can backtrack it. And so when I took the Social Security number by itself and entered it into, my search screen, it reverted back and it pulled up Barack H. Obama, Harrison J. Bonnell, or Bonnell Harrison J. at the same time. It gave me two results for the same social.
Okay, so what happened then?
Well, I'm sitting there and I'm looking at it. I said, well, from my own experience, when you have multiple names with one Social Security number, I look at it, and well, I mean, that's the way that we're taught really, is to look at it as a case of either stolen identity, okay, or someone using his social, or he let somebody use that social. Okay, that's what I was looking at. Actually, I look at it from the standpoint of proving proving the anomaly, not taking it for granted that it existed. I had to prove it. Okay. And so when I clicked on Bonnell Harrison J's relatives, Michelle Obama pulled up.
Oh, boy.
Her name pulled up as a relative of Bonnell Harrison J. And it showed up with her social, her spouse's, her cell phone numbers, and the address, 5046 South Greenwood, as of October 2010. So when that happens, that tells me one thing, okay, that whoever this Bonnell Harrison J person is, or Harrison J Bonnell, when they associated themselves with Michelle Obama and the 5046 South Greenwood Avenue address. So I clicked on the home address. I clicked on the 5046 South Greenwood. And when I pulled up that information, it showed me two separate owners of the house, not the Obamas.
The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.